Hello, welcome to Report Vikings, your daily Minnesota Vikings news channel. Let's explore today's latest news. But first, I ask for your help. Like this video. Many of you follow our content daily, but forget to click the like button. It's a simple, free gesture that helps us a lot. I appreciate your support. Today we have two pieces of news that are driving fans crazy. There's great news about the signing of an NFL star. Now, enough of the chit-chat, let's go. Devin Neal could become the Vikings' future starting running back. In recent years, the NFL has been testing the idea that running backs are easily replaceable. Many teams choose to draft these players late in the draft, use them heavily, and then release them before they even complete their contracts or reach the age of 30. While this approach has been widely adopted, last season showed a change in the perception of the value of a running back within an offense. Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, for example, raised the level of their teams, making their offensive systems even more dominant. Within the NFC North itself, the Detroit Lions surprised by selecting Jahmyr Gibbs in the draft, but the player quickly justified the choice by transforming the team's offense. The Minnesota Vikings also recognized this new trend. After betting on Alexander Mattison and Ty Chandler for one season, the team brought in Aaron Jones, who performed excellently. However, the heavy workload eventually took its toll, and Jones showed signs of wear and tear toward the end of the season, whether due to injuries or age. Looking ahead, the Vikings bolstered the position by re-signing Jones and acquiring Jordan Mason, but there are still questions about the position in the long term. Although the roster is well stocked for 2024, the team could turn to the draft to find a promising name for the upcoming seasons. One of the names that stands out is Devin Neal from the University of Kansas. He has been a standout since his freshman year, when he rushed for 700 yards as a rookie. Since then, he has had 3 consecutive seasons of over 1,000 yards, even surpassing 1,200 in the last 2 years. At 6 feet 1 inch and 188 kilograms, Neal would need to gain a bit more muscle mass to play as an all-down running back in the NFL. However, he already has enough speed and vision to assume a prominent role in a running back committee. Neal fits the profile of the league's modern running back. Versatile, capable of contributing both on the ground and in the air. His agility and strength allow him to escape defenders even in tight spaces, and his excellent vision helps him identify the right moment to accelerate or wait for blocks to develop. These characteristics make him an ideal fit for a zone blocking system, such as the Vikings. Another of Neal's strengths is his ability to make explosive plays. During his time at Kansas, he always posed a threat to opposing defenses, being extremely difficult to bring down in the open field. His top speed makes him a nightmare for defenders, who rarely manage to catch him when he takes off. What makes Neal even more special is his ability as a receiver. Although he has been used primarily on short routes, such as screens and safety passes, he has shown that he has reliable hands. This opens up the possibility that Minnesota could use him in a similar way to Aaron Jones, taking advantage of his talent in the short passing game and as an outlet for the quarterback. Last season, we saw the Vikings exploit these plays when opposing defenses focused on shutting down Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. In these situations, T.J. Hockenson and Jones shined in the short game, taking advantage of the open spaces. The addition of Neal would give the team another versatile weapon to challenge opponents. Despite his great potential, Neal still doesn't receive the same attention as other names in the class, such as Ashton Jeanty and Demarion Hampton. His physical size could be a concern against stronger linebackers in the NFL, and his pass protection still needs improvement. Because of this, it is unlikely that Neal will be a first-round pick. However, the Vikings could consider selecting him on day 2 of the draft if they want to invest in a young talent at the position. Something similar happened with the Saints in the past, when they added Alvin Kamara to a group that already had Adrian Peterson and Mark Ingram. Over time, Kamara became the key piece of the team's running attack. Neal could follow a similar path in Minnesota. While he's not expected to be an immediate starter, he has the talent to grow into the system and eventually become the Vikings' primary running back. Vikings linked to a high-profile free agent. But does this signing make sense? The Minnesota Vikings have been one of the most active teams in free agency this offseason, bolstering their roster for the 2025 NFL season. Despite having already made some major moves, the team could still continue to adjust its group before the start of training camp. With the two main waves of signings already completed, the most coveted players have already found new destinations. However, there are still some big names on the market, and speculation about possible destinations for these players continues to emerge. Among these rumors, one caught the eye: a possible connection between the Vikings and quarterback Russell Wilson. But would this move make sense for Minnesota? Christian Dandria of For the Win USA Today published a recent analysis suggesting the best destinations for the top free agents still available. Among the options listed, Wilson has been linked to 3 franchises: the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants, and the Minnesota Vikings. The idea of Wilson in Minnesota may seem appealing at first glance, but there are several factors that make such a move unlikely. Wilson's running ability is not what it used to be, and he may only be an average quarterback over the course of a full season. Christian Dandria. Wilson, who shined early in his career with the Seattle Seahawks and won a Super Bowl, failed to replicate that success during his time with the Denver Broncos and more recently with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Although he still has experience and ability to perform in the league, his signing with the Vikings would raise more questions than answers. That's because Minnesota has already made a clear decision about the future of the position by selecting J.J. McCarthy in the 2024 draft. The team has invested in the young quarterback as a central piece of the offense for the next few years, which would make Wilson's arrival unnecessary and potentially detrimental to the rookie's development. Wilson, for his part, probably still wants a starting opportunity, or at least a chance to compete for the position. Minnesota doesn't seem like the ideal place for that, since the franchise has invested in McCarthy and has a clear plan for his future. In addition, the Vikings already have a solid backup in Sam Darnold, who signed a 1-year contract with the team this offseason. Darnold has experience in the league and can act as a mentor to McCarthy, filling the backup role without creating any uncertainty in the rookie's transition to the NFL. Another factor weighing against a possible signing of Wilson is the financial impact. Even though he is no longer in his prime, the veteran still has a strong name in the league and would likely require a relatively expensive contract. The Vikings, on the other hand, need to manage their salary cap space well to continue strengthening other areas of the roster. Investing in a veteran quarterback like Wilson, who would not have a fundamental role on the team, could tie up resources that could be used to improve other needy positions, such as the offensive line or defense. Although Minnesota seems like an unlikely destination, there are still some teams that could consider signing Wilson. The Steelers, one of the teams initially mentioned, appear to have gone another way. The New York Giants, meanwhile, recently signed Jameis Winston, further narrowing the veteran's options. However, teams like the Tennessee Titans and Cleveland Browns are still looking for solutions at quarterback. Both franchises have pressing needs at the position and could consider Wilson as a short-term alternative. The problem, however, is that both the Titans and Browns have high picks in the 2025 draft, number 1 and number 2, respectively. This means they could opt to select a promising young quarterback rather than invest in a veteran. Given this scenario, the only realistic possibility for Wilson to end up in Minnesota would be if he were willing to sign a low-cost contract and accept a backup role without putting pressure on McCarthy. However, given the player's track record and ambitions, that scenario seems unlikely. Wilson could still be a good fit for a team in need of an experienced quarterback, but Minnesota simply isn't the best fit for him at this point. So the connection between Wilson and the Vikings seems more like speculation than a realistic possibility. Minnesota already has a plan in place at quarterback, and bringing in a veteran like Wilson would be unlikely to benefit the team. Unless something drastically changes, the Vikings are likely to move on with McCarthy and Darnold while Wilson seeks a new opportunity elsewhere.